Hi, welcome to heathermckinney.com in our November webinar on transformation and change. We're really excited to be with you again today. Just a few reminders, you can send over some questions and we will answer those live. So looking forward to having you interact with us. For those of you joining us on a regular basis, we will not be going into Heather's full bio month after month. Hopefully you have gotten to know her. Heather McKinney is definitely a strong leader in essential oils, wellness, and development, and you can certainly read her full bio at heathermckinney.com. So I'm excited to be here to participate with her, to facilitate this webinar, and I will be joining you again at the end as we bring in some questions and let you interact direct with Heather. Enjoy the webinar.
Sometimes things didn't seem to change. Oh, my grandparents did it this way, or my great-grandparents did it that way. And it just stayed that same way. Now, I honestly don't think that is the norm for most people. You know, just to say because it's been happening that way is not acceptable. And we want to be challenged. We want to learn different things. And the result of that growth, quite honestly, is change. So in that process, if you look at how can I be successful going forward, I truly think one of the keys to success in this era and the future eras is not necessarily how much information you collect or material goods or wealth really that you collect. It is how flexible you can be when you adapt to change. Those that can adapt to change, I believe, will be very successful now and in the future generations. So that's why I believe so strongly in this topic. I'll just give you truly key highlights that I use in my personal life and some key points that are important in change in this quick webinar. But stick with me on heathermckinney.com and you'll keep learning some more information and support about change. So in summary, when I talk about change today, what I'll be referring to is any disruption in your current expected path of events. This could be in your physical body, in your mind, in your relationships, in your goals, anything that you currently have as an expected path. And what I mean by that is you just expect a certain outcome. You know, you expect your children to behave a certain way. You expect your colleagues or your employer or your employees to respond and behave in a certain way. And when they don't do that, that creates a change, and that's a disruption, right, in the current path. So that change is really an opportunity for you to step back, and you may perceive it as, quote, good or bad, but really it's just a change. It's a disruption in the path, and what you do, your perception of that is how that change amplifies in life, whether it becomes something in a good or, quote, bad pathway, right? No matter what that change is, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, in your workplace, in your home, with your children, with your friends, whatever that change is in your life, the more inward and outward support you have in your routine and part of your system, the better you will be able to adapt to change. And that's why it's important now, if you don't have any of these supports, to jump in and try to check some of these out, add them into your life. And if you do have some of these supports, really start to assess what's working and what's not working for you. Okay, and give yourself the flexibility to be flexible in your own routine. Just because maybe you try walking every day for a while, maybe you get bored of that. Maybe you need to ride a bike or go to Tai Chi or yoga, work out, you know, in a gym. Try something different, and it's okay. So one thing I want you to think about is that when change is small, we tend to bounce back. What this might mean is a change in your morning routine, a change in your kids' schedule, a change in meeting places or dinner locations for work. And you say, oh, sure, I can meet you there. That's no problem. That's still a disruption in your current expected path. It's minor, and you may look at it as a thankful thing. Maybe you say, oh, great. I would love to change. I like this other place for dinner better than, you know, where we were going. Or I would rather go to basketball than soccer today. Whatever it is, if it's a small change, and you view it as a thankful change, it's positive. It amplifies you. It makes you encouraged and excited. But if we look further, I believe there are 3 levels of change. One that is creating a thankful experience, one that is creating maybe a tolerable experience, and then one that could create a potentially toxic experience. And that toxicity doesn't have to stay, but it can if you don't change the way you think or respond or your support around that change. Okay, so that's the important part to know. If you perceive something as a toxic, meaning it's really difficult or really harmful or really hard, your body sees that as extreme stress. And when change is great, we tend to get stuck or shy away from that change. Some of the bigger examples, obviously, are changes in your career, changes in your relationship status, your living situation, whether it's moving, downsizing. You know, that's a big one I get a lot. People transitioning from empty nest syndrome, or they're ready just to downsize, retire, and enjoy life. The outcome is exciting for them. It's very freeing. Going through that process is very traumatic or toxic to them at first, and then once they start to get moving, it becomes exciting and exhilarating. But at first, they might be stuck or shy away from those big decisions. And why is this? Here are the key reasons. Great change evokes great emotion and requires great support. And this is what I will be focusing today, the inward and outward support. So remember all of this, that the great change evokes great emotion, and it really requires great support. For you to want to go through this alone is not fair for you. And that doesn't mean you have to have 1 million people. That just means you have to look at the inward support. How do you feel? What do you do for yourself, in your body, your mind, emotion? How do you feed your soul and your spirit, your mind? And then who are you surrounding yourself in that journey? Are they helping and lifting you up? It's really, truly important. So what happens to us during change? All of these things, we have 8 things listed here, and I'm sure there's a lot more, but these are some of the most common and easy to see results of change and things that happen in our life, physically, mentally, emotionally, environmentally. Our routines change, our relationships change, financials and spiritual outlook, and your spiritual resources can change as well. So when you make one of these changes, that's what I want you to think about. When you change one thing, there are ripple effects into all other aspects of your life because you are a whole being. So in this quick webinar, I wanted to just highlight on some things that happen in you, in your physical body, in your emotions, in your mind during change, and then give you some resources to help you through these processes so you feel empowered and encouraged to motivate and move through change. When we go through change, there's a natural stress response. Believe it or not, stress by itself is not a bad thing. Stress is just a sign in the body that says, oh, something's changing. Time to pay attention here. We're on a different path. It's new information's coming in. What can I let go of? What should I be doing here? It's an alert to the body. The problem is when you get stuck in that response, or it amplifies and accelerates, or if there's an injury. Anything physically, mentally, emotionally that is traumatic to the body and your energy system not only creates a quick stress response, but that stress gets stuck in your energy field. And so that's where the motion and the movement and providing inward and outward supports really is so crucial. So when stress happens, your learning and your memory are impacted. The brain is taking that moment to say, whoa, wait a minute here. I don't really care about processing information. I don't care about learning. I just want to survive. If we go back to a primal brain mindset, the goal is for you to be able to experience stress, breathe through it, analyze it, and then move on, and not to get stuck. But if you do get stuck, I want to show you some of these loops that really happen, and it's important to note during change, because if you're going through changes, and again, whether it's small, about a daily routine with your kids or your colleagues or your work environment, or if it's major, whether it's relationships or your work environment, living situations, please give yourself the flexibility and support to learn about this. And if you see these patterns popping up, know that they're connected to your stress and brain connection. So chronic stress, some of these pop up: poor nutrition, emotional discomfort, and sleep. Sleep is a big one. Everyone really does have different sleep patterns. So there are some theories that think you have to sleep at a certain time. And then there are other theories that say not necessarily. Maybe it's your rhythm. Find out what your rhythm is, and if you can, sleep during those rhythms. Not everybody can do that, but if you can, especially during retirement or other flexible jobs, if you work from home, sometimes you are able to nourish your brain in those ways. So just think about this. If you are in a state of change and experiencing high stress, know that this is, quote, normal for you to experience, but use it as a red flag to say, okay, now I'm ready to move through this change. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm ready to go on to the next stage of change. And again, these are some physical, beyond the brain, some physical things that can happen in your body. Increased heart rate, the liver doesn't process as well, so there's a buildup in toxicity, honestly, in the body, which is why you'll see later one of the items I suggest for support and what I use during change. There's also decreased digestive activity. You might face constant and variety of digestive issues when you're going through change. Blood pressure changes and bronchial changes. From a yoga perspective, when you're going through change, and if you can't breathe, truly, if your lungs are restricted, because you can't breathe in that new life. You're not able to breathe in the changes that might be coming. So you hold your breath, you stay in a state of fear, thinking, I don't know what's coming, but where I am is okay. And you just don't give yourself the faith and the belief to breathe and know that what's coming could be so much better than where you are. So the dilation of the bronchioles is also a very real thing when people are going through change. Now here's one of my fun favorite topics. It's the brain and neuroplasticity. And you might say, what in the world? I signed up for a webinar here on change. I thought you were giving me some quick, easy tips. But this is really, really important. If your brain is not able to adapt to change, then it will be harder for you to adapt to change. So there's a lot of this information online. If you do find it interesting, you can research tons of information. But a quick overview is if you look at this graphic and you think of it as an electrical device, so to speak, and the blue line is your cord, that is a transmitter. It's transmitting energy and information through the body. And in the ends, around globular section, or globe at the end, ball, is where the neurons and information are stored. When the body's under stress, these microfibers or that cord can start to fray, just like old cords for our computers and our TVs. These cords can start to fray if we're under so much stress, and the information that's stored in that part of the brain can start to not function as well. We also can look at several different maps about the brain, and it depends on where the trauma or where the change may have occurred, again, physically, mentally, emotionally, depending on what part of the brain is impacted from that change. So it is important to think about not just what you're doing externally to go through change, but how this truly impacts your body inwardly as well. Some ideas here for emotions during change. We'll shift gears here pretty quickly and also look at the emotions you may feel when you go through change. You might cruise through this timeline pretty quickly, or you honestly may get stuck in certain aspects of this. It is important to just see the natural progression, see that there is hope, and see if there is movement in your process. And again, one of my big themes throughout the webinars and throughout my content is movement, because if you can create a path and a vision of where you want to go and successful inputs and outputs and support systems, you can keep pushing yourself, and maybe you don't believe in it at first, but you can keep pushing yourself into that next stage of development. So just look at this chart, and if you are going through different changes, whether they're small or large, ask yourself where you are maybe on this journey and where you want to be on this journey. In addition to the emotions support, here's another cycle that I found to be supportive in terms of immediate reactions. Your shock is a normal reaction. And then the reaction stage could be positive or not so positive. So when someone comes to you, not just for yourself and your actions, but this is really important as humans in society, whether your social circles and network is a corporate situation. Maybe your circle and network is a community situation or a church situation, or other moms, stay-at-home moms or homeschooling situation. There's so many people that work together in networks that support each other. And the more you learn about emotions during change, it helps yourself, but it also helps you be a reflection when you see someone else going through change. And if they start acting in ways or speaking in ways that aren't characteristic of them, maybe you can step back and say, what are you going through? Do you want to take a minute and pause, and let's just talk about you for a minute? Let's just set aside whatever else we were talking about. Because if you can see a reaction of shock or reaction coming up really quickly, or on the previous slide, the denial or anger or depression or crisis, maybe if you can step back and just talk to them about what they're going through, they can process that information better. And then, in hindsight, learn from it, and moving forward, better be there for you as a partner in that network. So on the change curve, if you've never heard of this, this is the diffusion of innovations curve, and change involves innovation. It doesn't have to be as grand or drastic as maybe the internet coming into our society. It could be a new form in your office. It could be a new process you have to go through. It could be new standards by the government, new tax codes, anything that is a change in the system. There are going to be those people that create it, which are the innovators, and that's a very small group usually that sit around and make these decisions to make change. And then you have people that jump in early and help that change get propelled. If you are one of those people, you probably thrive on change, and this is an exciting topic for you. If you are one of the laggards, then change might evoke high anxiety and emotion in your heart anytime you hear the word change. So again, this is just information for you to realize there are normal cycles of change, and whenever you're going through a change personally or professionally, just step back and assess where you are on this diagram. The more you learn, you will be able to decide if you want to be an innovator, early adopter, where you are on the cycle. Plus, you can help others when changes are happening and maybe be a change agent in different environments. So if you would like to become a change agent, whether for yourself, to support yourself in your growth, or to help others in your environment or social circles, the key is to set up inward and outward support systems and then create a plan. So when you create the plan, here are some steps to think about in sequence. You can analyze what's going on, design an option, develop it, meaning provide more materials and resources, try it out, evaluate what worked and what didn't work, and then repeat it. Repeat what worked, let go of what didn't, and keep going through this cycle. Thoughts as well. Our thoughts tend to really help or hinder our success during change. And constantly ask yourself what is working and what is not working. You'll hear me say this a lot, and it's because they're simple words with enormous output. They really, really are. Give yourself the permission to step back and say, well, wait a minute here. I am not attached to the outcome right now. I want to step out of this cycle of expectation, and I want to ask myself what's working and what's not. It's time to reassess. Give yourself permission to do that, and you will see yourself work through change better. Also, give yourself permission for daily personal care. This is really, really important for your success. Inward supports may be proper nutrition, whole foods, things that support your body to absorb nutrients, expel toxins. You want good stuff in, bad stuff out. That's the key there. Good things in, bad things out. And then just support that function to keep growing, 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 so that you are filled with more and more good supportive things inside. Outwardly, look for motion. I have some personal options here, but also that could be motion in your job. Maybe you want a raise. Okay, where are you doing the steps to get there? Maybe you want to start your own business. Okay, are you doing the steps outwardly to do that? Are you joining your chambers? Are you talking to people? Are you networking in your community? Maybe you want children. Okay, are you taking the steps to do that? Are you finding out if there's support in your community when you do have children? So use these themes inwardly and outwardly as you want to go through changes. And if you do these in advance and make them part of your life, then changes are less stressful. We talked about this last month, and I really thought it was important just to highlight it here because when you go through change, if you want to create your change, add it to something you see on a daily basis. And for me, the best thing for that is a vision board. I just included a template here. You can listen to last month's webinar to learn all about making a vision board and setting intentions. But the key is really keep a vision board in your mind, in your body, in your physical space. That's what I mean by body. That amplifies what you want to create in your life. Here's a quick sample board. And once that vision board is complete, it is important to revise it, reflect, and then just repeat. And make it a fun experience. Make it be stressful, make it exciting, and involve everyone in your environment, meaning your immediate family. So if you want to design change, what are some inward and outward support? These are some things that I would challenge you after this webinar and over this next month to think about. You'll see some key highlights here that reflect some self-coaching questions that can help you if you get stuck. At the end of every webinar, I do supply the top 10 ways to grow, shine, and thrive, and I call it teams. It's developing your teams, and it's at the end of every webinar. But ask yourself, what are the ways that you want to inwardly and outwardly get support for both short and long-term change? Personally, I get this question a lot. They'll say, well, that's fantastic, but what do you do? I want to know what you do for change. I want to know how you get so excited to grow, shine, and thrive. And I say, it's simple for me. I use all of these products on a daily basis, and I'll share with you why. The Mito 2 Max is a natural energy stimulant, and we'll go through each one as well. But I like them pictured here as a group because they do provide inward and outward support. So physically, inwardly, my physical body, the Mito 2 Max, it feeds the mitochondria of your cell. That is really important to me. I'm sensitive to caffeine, so I'm not one that can sit there and drink 6 cups of coffee a day. It's just not happening in my body. My body's not happy with that. But I do need natural energy boosting. So I found this product and was so incredibly grateful because it does it naturally in a whole supporting way. It goes into the mitochondria of your cell and it feeds that mitochondria. You might say, what in the world is mitochondria? It is the powerhouse of your cell that creates energy. It gets things moving. It gives things life in your body. So when I want to go through change, again, we're talking about movement. Mitochondria, mito-2 max come together to support that movement. The DDR prime, on the other hand, I really love to support for neuroplasticity. DDR prime is incredible for the brain. It has frankincense in it. It rebuilds your cells. It kicks out what is not working. It supports and builds what is working. And I really love this for the brain. It is one of my all-time favorite supports. I take one of these a day. Mito-2 max, I rotate. It depends on how much energy I might need that day. But DDR prime, if I'm under high stress, I might take 2 of those a day. It just depends. You know, life changes. And the lemon oil, I do use lemon essential oil in water, or I might just dilute it and rub it on my liver. We saw in the earlier posting about the importance of the liver not working well when you become stressed. And the reason is, it's just those other organs kind of shut down. The body feels like it's in fight or flight, and it just wants to focus on your heart and giving you that core energy to survive. Some of these external organs, they don't process as well, and things build up. So getting your body that 1 drop of lemon a day is incredible for your support. So here's a little overview of each one. Again, if you would like more information, please go to heathermckinney.com and click the Shop tab. That takes you to detailed information about all of these products. But if you're looking at specific products to support your body, mind, emotion, inward and outward support during stress, mito-2 max is really key for me for that. DDR prime, again, is the one I love for brain support, neuroplasticity. It's just an incredible way. It builds up the brain. It also helps prevent the overabundance of oxidative stress. It doesn't mean you won't have the oxidative stress, so I don't know if prevention is the right word, but you can still be stressed. It's just protecting the body. That's a better word, protecting the body and the mind from that oxidative stress. And lastly, we talked about lemon oil. This you can diffuse. You can use externally. So to me, it's a combo, 2-for-1 support here, outward and inward support. It smells great. It cleans your environment, but it also cleans you inside, and it helps your liver work. So again, good things in, detox out, and they help you with that. So how to bring all of this together at the end here. Transformation is how you bring all of this together. So for me, change is focusing on 1 or 2 aspects at a time. You might change your routine. You might change the paint color in your house. You might change, what time you wake up in the morning. That's a change. Transformation occurs, and it's a natural result of bringing all of this together and looking at a combination of inward and outward support. So when you can do this, I believe in you. I know you can do it. Stick with these steps, celebrate your outcomes, and keep this vision for your overall transformation. And what I want you to do mostly is be your #1 fan and coach. Every month we have these top 10 things. I'll leave them on here and you can read, but it does connect with the acronym TEAM. And it's looking at what you really want. How does that make you feel? What are the actions you're taking for this? When do you want it? And who and what will be involved in that process? So keep those in mind, write them down, take actions on it, and revise, review, reflect, revise, and repeat. Those are some key secrets to grow, shine, and thrive. And I'm really, really grateful for all your time today.
Fantastic. Well, I can tell you that I'm going through a lot of change in my life right now. So I think this is such a relevant topic for everybody. And I do see some questions coming through, so we still have a little bit of time to do that.
Okay.
I think, one of the questions that we're getting is, what other support do you recommend to help people through change? So obviously people are interested in finding out what they can do inwardly to support. Is there others that you do recommend?
I try to keep it short for the video, or the webinar, I'm sorry, just to keep us focused, but truly there are a ton of other supports. I really do believe in your outward support with who you surround yourself with. You know, who are your top 5? Who do you contact and reach out to on a daily, frequent basis? Whether it doesn't have to be daily that you talk to them, but who are you thinking about? Who are you reaching to as your support or your inspiration or your mentors or your role model? Maybe you don't even really know these people, but they're in your thoughts. So they are part of your change process. Ask yourself, who is my outward support? And look at that. It could be your physical community. Like I said, it could be your role models and mentors. I didn't bring this up. I was trying to just stick to 3 products today, but I do really also believe in the power of omegas for brain health. And looking at the neuroplasticity pictures, it made me think of something else I do in my personal life. And omegas are really important as well for that. There's some that are fish-based, get a high quality. Obviously, I have some on my website, heathermckinney.com. Click the shop tab. There's a liquid omega, and there's also capsules. We use both in our family. Our dog and my son use the liquid, and my husband and myself use the capsules. So whatever works for you. Vegan, there's vegan options as well, but I just think it's important that everyone has omegas in their life. Again, that helps support neuroplasticity, and change is happening very, very quickly. We have to be able to, you know, like in basketball, you know, you pivot, you turn, you move, you weave, you dodge, that kind of stuff, and we have to be able to do that in our brains as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. One of the questions that I have, too, coming in has to do with something you said about I can't remember exactly what screen it was on, but during change, people have issues with sleep.
Oh, yeah.
If somebody's asking questions on sleep support, like what do you recommend for sleep support? Is there an essential oil?
That's a really good question. So there's a product that just came out. I didn't even get to tell you about this, Angie, yet. There is a product that just came out off the press, and it is called, it is a sleep support. It's called Serenity. And it is a capsule. It is a capsule now, and it is called the Restful Complex. So I can give you more information after the session in person here. But if you do click on Heather McKinney, or go to heathermckinney.com, click on the shop tab, and if you bring up the capsules that are Serenity. Serenity is an essential oil that you can put it in a diffuser, you can put it on your pillow, you can put it externally. But there's also a supportive and complementary product with it called Serenity Capsule. And it is not the Serenity in a capsule. It's really important for you to know. It's not just taking that oil and putting a capsule and ingesting it. It is a different blend that is meant to use in conjunction with the external Serenity. And they are finding incredible results at the universities that are started to study this, and I believe their research is coming out, or the company. I'll have to find out who did that research. But I just went to a conference, they had a big presentation on this, and what they found was that in this research study, it didn't matter how old a person was, their gender, or their sleep cycle, meaning if they were a first, second, third shift person, they got better results by using these. So I think that that's a really, really great support tool as well.
Yeah, that's excellent. I mean, there's people don't necessarily know my background, but I spent about a decade working in partnership with a company that worked in corporate wellness. And stress and change was a huge factor on employee productivity.
Okay.
And I think it's interesting, too, because you brought up one of the questions is around which causes the stress. Which comes first, the stress and the poor nutrition, or does the poor nutrition lead to stress? And that used to be something that would come up as a topic of conversation with employees. So can you talk about that, like how that works? Because I know it said sleep, it said poor nutrition, and there was something else. But how does stress cause poor nutrition?
Right. So stress, think about your normal life. You know, a lot of the things about this are rocket science, right? It's just look at your daily lives and step back and say, yes, I do that. what am I going to do about it now, though? You know, am I really going to step up and make a difference? So when you're not sleeping well, why does that happen? You're laying there, you're trying to think about something that's on your mind, in your heart, bothering you, and therefore you don't sleep well that night. Okay, fast forward to the next day, you sleep in, you don't wake up early, you don't arrange your breakfast, you know, think about what I'm going to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner that day. You say, I don't care, I just have to get up and get to wherever I'm supposed to be. You grab something either in your cabinet or maybe on the road, you know, a fast food sort of option, or you just skip it all together. Maybe you skip it all together and think, oh, I'll catch it up later, I'll catch it up later. And how often does that happen to us? Mm-hmm. You know, so they're so intertwined of what comes first and what comes second. And then if the nutrition's poor, as we saw in the neurons and in the body, that causes, maybe it started as an emotional, external, thoughtful stress, but it's creating a lot of physical stress now in the body. And the body is not able to provide that natural energy, which, again, I use through the Mito 2 Max. I really love it because it gives me that energy. Of course, I try to eat as best as I can, but that helps fill in the gaps for me.
Okay.
It does.
I think that was a good question. One of the other ones is just asking for clarification. Can you give one example of inward support and one example of outward support?
Mm-hmm. So clarification, inward support, what I mean by that is, again, if you go to heathermckinney.com and you click on Grow, Shine, and Thrive, there'll be a drop-down there that says inward growth or grow inwardly. And so those are some supports that I'm referencing in terms of inward growth. And then it says thrive outwardly. So for me, inward are things you choose to do in your personal life. Mm-hmm. How are you going to personally nourish and care for yourself? Outwardly would be your outward environment, whether it's a work situation, social situation, that kind of thing. I hope that helps. So inwardly would be your nutrition, your food, maybe doing yoga, things that you're personally choosing to do inwardly for yourself, your body, mind, emotions. And outwardly would be how are you involving those around you, right, to support you in that journey.
Okay.
And support each other, really.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. It does look like we're getting one more question on product, and then we'll try to wrap it up. I know we wanted to try to keep these to half hour for sure. We're running a little over, but the question's on, I am going through a very stressful situation that I can't move through. Mm-hmm. So I do feel a little toxic, stuck. Mm-hmm. Are there any product supports when you're feeling that toxicity, like that, whether it's to help cleanse or whether it's to let go, or what would be your support for that? If you know, you actually know you're in a toxic state.
Right, what do I reach for?
Yeah. Like, I know I'm not into something toxic.
I need some help moving through this. I truly look for lemon. Mm-hmm. I think lemon is powerful. It is very inexpensive. If you go to that website, heathermckinney.com, click shop, you can get it on wholesale for $10. $10 for 250 drops. And if you just use one drop a day, that's 250 days. Okay. I mean, that's a long time for support and a lot of support for change.
Absolutely.
I do like lemon. It's the zest of the rind, and it helps to pull things out. Now, you might think, how does helping my body move and function and my liver work, how does that help me through change? Well, when you are able to excrete out and move through things that are weighing you down physically, mentally, emotionally, and every oil that I use and support has properties that help you in body, mind, emotion. So lemon is an oil that helps with cleansing and letting go. Emotionally, it's very refreshing. Think about it. You smell lemon, you're like, yeah, okay, I don't know what I was going through, but it's all good now. Life is good. It's going to be better. And it really changes your emotions and your thoughts. So I do love lemon. I honestly do love CDR Prime because if you get overly stressed, you might feel, you know, your brain may go through patterns of, disbelief or getting stuck or not knowing, foggy, or thinking there's not abundance. There's not another option. You know, what are my options? And I don't think any of that's necessary. I mean, there's so many options. so many choices. So if you ever get, quote, stuck, step back and say, this isn't a place I want to be. I want to give myself more support. I know there's other options out there. And so for me, DDR Prime is crucial. The Lemon is crucial. The Mino 2 Max, well, I put them up there. The Omegas, and really the Serenity sleep capsules. I'm going to start even to try those and implement. They just came out. I had been using the Serenity oil and the diffuser and loving that. But the capsules, I think, will be helpful too, especially as people go through, maybe they have a glass of wine before bed, or, they have other routines. This might be something just to rotate in there and try, another mechanism. I've already had several people tell me they're floored at the difference. And it's not that it knocks them out and they can't wake up in the morning. It puts them in a deeper, restful state. So the brain waves are at that state where you're in a deep sleep. I mean, the healing, the restful sleep state. And then you can wake up in the morning.
Well, I would just say, as a testament, I'm addicted to the Serenity oil. Not that addiction, by the way, but I love Serenity. At night, I feel it when I don't smell it. I love it so much. Good. So that's a big one for me. So I think we should probably wrap up.
Thank you for today. This was a great day.
Absolutely. This was awesome. Again, we're trying to invite as many people because we, great topics that really help you on a daily basis. And, certainly we follow up. We'll follow up with you. You'll get a copy of the recording of the video. It's going to be on the website. That's new and coming on heathermckinney.com. But I guess with that, I'll just say, Heather, any parting words before we close out?
I look forward to seeing everyone on the website. Keep your questions coming. We have a lot of feedback and positive energy that came from our last webinar. So on the horizon are some free webinars. You can check that out. Again, if you go to heathermckinney.com, we added a new event feature on that since we last checked in with you last month. So click on the events feature. You have some free conference calls you can check out on a weekly basis. We'll have these webinars on a monthly basis. And then we'll have some videos starting to come up too that you can see my face and demonstration, your beautiful face, and we'll be right there with you, on your journey to grow, shine, and thrive. So we're right here with you. I'm grateful, and I'm really grateful for Angie to enjoy this journey with me.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.